It's Tuesday, January the 30th, and this is your Barbados Today evening news update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. We begin with news that negotiations for a salary increase for the island's civil servants remain at a standstill. Just over a week after the National Union of Public Workers attempted to stage an island-wide shutdown to press home demands for a 23% salary increase, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of the Civil Service, Alison Fort, today revealed that they are still awaiting word from Prime Minister Frandil Stewart. Fort told reporters today the two sides have made some headway on non-salary items, but it was now up to the Prime Minister to outline the next move.
Unions would have submitted the proposals long ago. The three major unions that I would meet with, the NUPW, C2SAB, Barbados Workers Union, and I would have had preliminary meetings with all of them. Some of the proposals would have had in salary and non-salary. The NUPW in particular, we've had in a lot of non-salary, and I would have dealt with them on a number of those things. So I'm waiting some final approval on those non-wage and salary. But in relation to the wages and salary, I'm awaiting a final mandate from the Minister of Responsibility for the Public Service, who is the Prime Minister. And once I get that mandate, I would then either invite the unions to give them that update, or otherwise might send out a letter telling them what that particular mandate is.
The NUPW refused a $49 million offer in the form of a coping subsidy for civil servants last December, and had given the government until January the 15th to return to the bargaining table with a firm offer or a lump sum of $60 million instead. Fort insisted that the lump sum that was put on the table was not a final position, but had to be examined by the Prime Minister.
The one-off payment, it was not an offer per se. It was just a point of discussion. We were having some discussions on the non-salary proposals, and I put, as they said, two scenarios to them. You know, what, in your opinion, would a one-off payment look like? And I gave them two scenarios for them to mull over, so that they and I could kind of form a proposal that we could submit to my principals. Well, they went ahead and met with their group and came with what they considered to be a counter to what I had offered. I submitted that to my principals, and in due course I would get back to them on what my principals had said on that. At the same time, I'm sending out feedback to them on the salary proposals, that which can be considered as not a salary but a financial proposal. I will get back to them on that as well.
The opposition Barbados Labour Party declares the public transport sector is in crisis. MP Trevor Prescott, the party's spokesman on transport, says it's unfair that after a long day of work and school, passengers are abandoned for hours upon hours in the bus terminal with no sign of a bus to get them home. Prescott, who claimed that there are only just over 60 transport board buses in operation to service the island, lamented that the government has not bought a single bus since coming to office, despite a series of expensive maintenance contracts. He charged that the government has failed the working class of Barbados. The three-man People's Democratic Congress, or PDC, declares it's on a serious mission ahead of upcoming general elections. Party leader Mark Adamson says not only is the party determined to secure 3 seats in the House of Assembly, but it intends to help form what it hopes will be a coalition government. Adams, however, told Barbados Today the PDC will also ensure that coalition will not include the opposition Barbados Labour Party.
We need to, as a party and such, like, we need to help engineer a particular political outcome in this country at the next elections. You want to see that. You want to make sure that there is a coalitional government to come about in this country, and that coalitional government must come about minus the Barbados Labour Party. Let me make that abundantly clear.
Adams says the PDC has taken its position because the BLP is responsible for the serious mess facing Barbados. He contends that the former Owen Arthur-led BLP government engaged in massive borrowing and actions that limited the island's growth and development in a serious way. Deputy PDC leader Eric Marshall says his party is only willing to work with other politicians who are serious about raising the bar on political representation and meeting the needs of the people.
And what the people don't know about these two political parties, the DLP and the BLP, in PDC who sell this country to the highest bidder. Is we know to come and stop the mess and the lawlessness of some politicians in Barbados that feel of themselves, them can take the masses of people to continue to be slaves.
The Sports Now Gold House are once again champions of inter-house sports at Eden Lodge Primary School. Today at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex, Gold amassed 533 points to take the honors ahead of Greenhouse, who placed second with 394.50. Red House took third position with 373.50, while Orange was fourth with 326 points. Jazara Levine of Gold House shared the Victrix Ludorum title with Greenhouse's Ashlyn Simmons, as both girls mastered 30 points. Shamari Ford of Gold was the Victor Ludorum, contributing 40 points to his house.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Trinidad and Tobago's president-elect is ready to take the task ahead. At a brief ceremony at the diplomatic reception launched yesterday, Paula May Weeks received her instrument of election to the office of the president. She then engaged members of the media and said she was humbled and honored and completely terrified. Pressed by journalists about what she brought to the table, this is what the incoming head of state had to say.
A set of cutlery to deal with matters on my plate, a basket full of the fruit of the Spirit, and grace before meals.
The president-elect also revealed that her two main concerns at this stage are crime and the youth.
There are so many issues, and each of them takes a prime place given what is happening at that time. But I certainly am concerned, like every citizen, with crime, a particular interest, I suppose, because all my career I have spent in the criminal law. I cannot fail but to be concerned with young persons and what positions they are going to occupy in this, our developing society. So I think to start off, leaving room for anything else that may step into the spotlight, I think youth and crime are my immediate concerns.
On the international scene, Kenyan opposition leader Raila Odinga, who boycotted the country's disputed election last year, swore himself in as the people's president at a mock inauguration ceremony today in protest against President Uhuru Kenyatta. Thousands of opposition supporters gathered at Uhuru Park in central Nairobi, chanting slogans and waving tree branches at the symbolic swearing-in event, which was organized by Odinga's National Super Alliance. Kenyatta won a second presidential term with 98% of the vote following a controversial election rerun last November. The country's Supreme Court nullified the previous ballot, also won by Kenyatta due to illegalities and irregularities. Odinga and his opposition party dropped out of the second vote, claiming the Election Commission had failed to implement any reforms. The alliance says it wants to create an alternative government to protest Kenyatta's rule. But the government has warned that Tuesday's event amount to treason, an offense punishable by death according to Kenyan law. And that's news and sports, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or even like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.